talks about a very different side of life, very different
Yes.
slice of Kolkata.
Yes.
What was the most intriguing part for you to be part of the show?
Well, there was no, the whole story was intriguing indeed. But for me to be a part of the show, there was no intrigue. The only stage where I had a little difficulty was where I had to speak Bengali and Hindi simultaneously,
But
because
your Hindi
there
is
were
good.
times,
You act in Hindi films.
oh, that I do. I am a Delhiite, but I don't have problem with my Hindi.
Yeah.
But then, getting to adjust with all those dialogues is
Shifting the Hindi
shifting
and Bengali.
from one mode to the another requires a bit of a concentration. So, with the same camera position, first we had to speak in Bangla or in Hindi and then the other language. So the others also had to cope up with the same situation. But then you'll see that there are certain things which, being a Hindi web series
Yeah.
and with the locale being Kolkata, we
Yes.
all try to speak like we are Kolkatans. We are not
Who speaks
Delhiites.
Hindi?
We are not Mumbaikars. So we speak with a little bit of, gol gol karke Hindi bolte hain. So that's, the director wanted to keep that. So the director said that's the identity of Lalbazaar. That's the identity of Kolkata.
That's interesting.
That is interesting indeed. And the best part about Lalbazaar is, he has never kept it boring. He has, Shayanton and Rangon, they have planned it out in such a way so that, एक case आता है तो दूसरा case, by the time they solve this, the second one piles on.
Yeah.
So, there are cases where the OCs of the respective police stations are involved, but the DCs or the ACs are not involved, or the assistant commissioners don't know about it. Sometimes
you
the
really
deputy
feel
commissioner.
the pressure that the police station, the office goes through in the.
Yes, but then this is a fictional story. It's based on real incidents. But then we did not try to glamorize the whole thing, We tried to show.
Glorifying the violence, you mean? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we tried to show the gruesome underworld of the underbelly of the Kolkata. And it's very difficult, trying to not to be gruesome and yet show the reality. So, it was a little difficult.
Right. In this show, Lalbazaar, you also have worked with your son, right? And I want to know that now when you, like, how is that? Is it a little more special? It becomes a little more special when you working with your family member, especially with your son, knowing the fact that he is equally loved, or as an actor he is equally, like, people really love his work, appreciate his work.
Look, let me be clear about one thing. When I work, I do not think of what the audience is going to like and what they मुझे कैसे खड़े होने से मुझे कैसा लगेगा, and what should I wear and how I should talk and what is my TRP, ये सब ज़हन में नहीं होता. When I work sincerely according to the character, according to the demands of the director. And so I do not really bother about I have worked with big stars every time. I have worked with Mr. Nasiruddin Shah. I've worked with Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. I have worked with Prashanjit Chatterjee. I have worked with big stars on Bengali and Hindi screen. लेकिन अब वो मेरे ज़हन में नहीं रहता है. There are lots of good people. I think most of the people who are working today are extremely good. लेकिन मैं वो सोचता ही नहीं. And so when
अपने बेटे के साथ मतलब almost बेअसर
है क्या? नहीं, बिल्कुल मेरी बेटी हो, मेरी बीवी हो, मैं कुछ नहीं सोचता. I consider that person to be a performer. and that performer is going to work according to what the director wants, and I'm going to help out that my co-actor so that my co-actor can deliver what the director wants. Or kuch nahi rehta hai. There is a saying in Bengali which says, you understand Bengali, so I'll say it in Bengali. Ami amon short dilam na dhuiye diyechi. But this is something I don't. This is something I
You
don't like.
never.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
What do you mean
overshadow
dhuiye diyechi?
somebody's performance, overshadow
Yeah,
somebody's performance, like.
I should be helping out my co-actor. I'm not trying to overwhelm him. I have
Right.
never seen big stars doing that. I have never seen.
Especially the name that you have taken.
Yes, I've seen big stars who have been helping me out to perform. I'm indebted to all of them.
Also, there are two things that fascinates me about you. One is that despite you are getting a lot of, like, I so can see, like, when I look at the kind of work that you have done so far, in most of them, we get to see either you are wearing uniform or a very serious fellow, like, who is, Feluda is definitely one of them, or if I look at the kind of film that you have done, right?
I have done all
After
kinds.
No, some of the, like, see, you, more than the interesting project, like films, especially Hindi films that you are being part of, you rejected more than that. Like, who can reject a Lagan?
These most of these Hindi films which come to me come at the last moment, because after the whole cast is finalized, the crew is finalized, and the locations are finalized, and then the director or the producer or the manager calls me and says, अगले महीने 7 तारीख से 15 तारीख के बीच में है, मुझे 4 डेट चाहिए. I said, अगले महीने 7 तारीख, आज तो 16 तारीख है सर, अगले महीने 7 तारीख मैं कैसे खाली हो जाऊंगा?
15 दिन के अंदर, 15-20 दिन के अंदर, हाँ.
15-20 दिन के अंदर, and my schedule goes for 2 months, 3 months, at a stretch. So how can I commit you a date in 15 days, 20 days time? That is not possible. Then what happens is, नहीं आपको जाना पड़ेगा, हम लोग ये शूट कर रहे हैं दुबई में. I said, Dubai? When? He says, इस महीने के आखिर में. आप अपना पासपोर्ट भेज दीजिए. I said, नहीं wait. इतनी जल्दी करेंगे तो मैं नहीं जा पाऊंगा. So, these things keep happening. And then
have you rejected, Sabyasachi, if I ask you?
I don't know, I have not counted, but I have worked in about 8 or 9.
Like,
I have worked in about 8 or 9 films, and I could not work. It was my inability to work in those films, and that was I think about 15 to 18 films, and they were good ones. Amir Khan had thought about one role for me in Lagan, which I couldn't. And Shah Rukh had thought about one role for me in his Ashoka, which I couldn't. And there have been many such offers which I couldn't take. And there were some films where I was selected. I went to Mumbai. I talked to the producer. I talked to the director. And then finally, I saw in the papers that the movie has started without me. ये सब तो होता ही रहता है. I mean, इसके लिए कि I went into a depression. मुझे बुलाया, मुझसे बात की, फिर मुझे लिया नहीं. It's not like that. They must have found someone else. Because it's a very difficult. No. There's nothing to be very disappointed about it. These things happen. You go, अगर आपको नौकरी करनी है तो आप जाइए किसी जगह, आपकी नौकरी के लिए इंटरव्यू दीजिए, और इंटरव्यू देने के बाद अगर आपको लगे कि आपकी नौकरी पक्की है, तो आप तो मूर्ख निकले, है कि नहीं? अगर आपको लगता है कि और 30-40 लोग जो इंटरव्यू में थे आपके साथ, उनमें से आप बेस्ट थे, तो ये तो मेरे ख्याल से बेवकूफी होगी मेरी तरफ से. Kyonki what I feel is, I am one of the candidates And the
Yes.
director or the producer is responsible for picking out the best, what he thinks. मुझे देखकर उन्हें लगा होगा कि no, he's not suitable for this role. That's why he called me to talk. And so he didn't take me. So there's nothing to be so depressive about it. Take it in your stride. आज नहीं तो कल सही. We'll get another offer. As long as you're alive, keep your hopes alive too.